Okay, let's see your best Meg greeting impression.
Hello!
Perfect. Yes. Yes.
He is risen!
That's right, because it's Easter Monday.
It's Easter Monday!
He is risen indeed.
With Meg!
And Thom.
And we're here on Easter Monday.
Yeah, we are.
Jumping right into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really jumping right into it.
Really jumping right into it. Because I think we're going to use today as our transition for our next little group of conversations. And just kind of a reminder, these are just sort of, well, no, not sort of, they are unscripted conversations.
Yeah.
So the whole thing of this is fly on the wall. These are kind of the conversations that we have since Meg is a student and going through this and learning a lot of the theology,
Yep.
Learning about scripture, learning about what else? History of the church as part of her seminary training to become a presbyter or a minister in the Presbyterian Church USA. And so today we're going to talk about something that's very, very near and dear to Easter, as in, if this didn't happen,
we wouldn't have Easter.
There is no Easter.
Yeah.
Which is this concept of resurrection. We want to be more theological.
Yes.
And talk about resurrection, because that one event, that one idea, that happening really shapes a lot of our theology. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, the church, even the PCUSA, we've lost our understanding of resurrection.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like nobody talks about it a lot. It's like a big deal on Easter. It's like, oh yeah, the resurrection.
Right.
Ta-da! And then it's like, and then we move on.
So, I mean, just as our introductory thing, and I'm going to read in a minute a definition of resurrection from Faith Seeking Understanding by Dr. Daniel Migliori, who was my theology professor up at Princeton. This is my go-to. Cool. This is even the second edition of this book. I wore out my first one. So
you had to get another one?
So yeah, it could have even changed since I got this one. This is just the second edition. So I wonder if there's more editions. But anyway, before we read that, there's some things we need to talk about resurrection just initially.
Front loading.
Okay. So the first thing about resurrection would be, what is it that we're trying to believe in on Easter? Because I mean, I think that's where this whole thing is what's so important to believe in when it comes to resurrection?
Good question. Yep.
I'm going to keep talking? Okay.
Meg is learning too on this one.
So,
I haven't taken theology yet. That's my excuse here.
Okay. Well, you can play the part of, well, never mind. Anyway, so in a lot of conversations about resurrection, where people kind of get to what is it you've got to believe about resurrection, they focus very much on the bodily resurrection of Jesus. That there has to be a physical bodily resurrection, and people get very excited about that and really put the pressure on that's what you've got to believe. That's right. What's so very, very important.
The thing.
And it's another one of these things where in our discussions that we often have, we're just trying to get you to say the magic words. So if you say, sure, I believe in the bodily resurrection of Jesus. Good. Check. And there's nothing more to discuss. But I think that's the problem, because it's not about believing in this, is it a fact? Is it historical truth? That's a very low level of belief.
We're having a lot of the historical fact and truth conversations with the teenagers lately.
Right. As we're,
yeah.
But it's just kind of like, okay, so, prove me wrong, or,
Or, it's like, prove me wrong, or show me the proof.
Or show me the proof that it didn't happen. I mean, it's all about proof and historical. And that's the problem with that and thinking about that is, okay, it still doesn't go anywhere.
Right.
And it doesn't cost you anything to say yes. It doesn't mean anything if you say yes to that question.
Correct.
I mean, the next part is what the theological piece is. Well, what if that is true? What if, why resurrection?
Then what?
If we believe in resurrection, then what does that mean?
Right. Then what does the next piece look like?
Right. And it derails a lot of stuff that we assume. Like, Jesus is the only person that is going to be resurrected.
Right. That's a strong assumption.
It's a unique thing to Jesus and only Jesus.
Right.
But in our historical creeds and our theology all along.
Yeah.
In Scripture, resurrection, a bodily, physical resurrection, is what we anticipate for everyone. And what does that mean? And does resurrection only happen after you die?
Woo!
Do you have to die first to be resurrected, or can resurrection happen at another time? And that's more of a spiritual resurrection. And what does that mean? We'll get you talking here, because I want to read this. This is from, again, Faith Seeking Understanding by, move my hand, Daniel Migliore is his name.
Migliore.
He was a theology professor at Princeton Seminary.
The G is silent.
That's right. He is, as far as professors go, he was one that if I did a master's of theology, which is a 1-year degree, I would take every class I could from Dr. Migliore. I love Dr. Migliore. He was somebody I could sit and study under.
And it was good.
And it was good.
Huh.
He was one of those eye-opener, brain-blowing kind of, and he was really good with the language and such.
So in this glossary of theological terms,
resurrection. Based on the New Testament witness to the resurrection of the crucified Christ, Christians affirm belief in, quote, the resurrection of the dead, end quote, which is in the Nicene Creed, and, quote, the resurrection of the body, end quote, which is in the Apostles' Creed. Faith and hope in bodily resurrection, and this is the part that's going to start blowing people's mind, stand in contrast to the idea of the immortality of the soul. The latter holds immortality to be intrinsic to some aspect of the human creature, whereas resurrection faith presupposes that death is total, and the hope for life beyond death rests on the sheer gift of God, who brought creation out of nothing and raised the crucified Jesus from the dead. Moreover, resurrection faith affirms the significance of embodied existence in God's sight, and by extension, the value of the entire material cosmos. So I've had people ask me, and what did Jesus do? Or I've asked people, Jesus died on the cross. What happened next? And I have a lot of folks who believe, well, his soul went to heaven. And hung out for 3 days.
But in, what is it, the Apostles' Creed?
In the Apostles' Creed,
we affirm and say,
we here at Parkway Presbyterian Church say, Because not everyone who says the Apostles' Creed says this phrase.
Why do you leave the phrase out?
Well, first you got to say what the phrase is.
Well, now my mind is blown that he descended into hell.
That's right. And not every church will say that phrase that says the Apostles' Creed. So we have a visitor.
We don't want to believe. Because it's a hard thing for us to believe that Jesus hung out in hell for a few days. But is it? See, this is now I'm gonna talk because now.
What? Now you're going to talk?
Yeah, because hell and what what people believe hell is versus where the concept of hell originated.
Or what that phrase is actually saying.
Right, or what that means. Or is it being a good Jew that Jesus was? Are we going to the waiting place? Sheol? Is that more properly akin to what's going on?
Actually, just to blow your mind a little bit more.
Okay.
When Jesus tells the other thief on the cross in Luke's gospel, I'll see you in paradise.
Yeah.
That's the waiting place.
Okay, that makes sense to me.
Not
that
paradise.
one doesn't blow my mind.
Oh.
That one's more
that also blows people's mind because again,
no,
when
because
they hear
the
that
Greek
phrase,
the Greek there yeah, it's not
right.
It's different.
Because people hear the word paradise and immediately they go, "See,
heaven!
I told you, Jesus went to heaven."
Right.
And then after those 3 days are up, Jesus then leaves heaven, but then what? Inhabits a dead body? Is he a zombie? Is it?
Yeah.
What is a resurrected body all about? I mean, again, what's the point? Why doesn't Jesus just stay an immortal soul, some kind of ghost or something? Why reconnect with that body part again? Why be resurrected?
Why be resurrected? Well, I think you can't the same God who's capable of forming mankind out of dust and breath can most certainly.
Which is what we say at the beginning of Lent, this whole series. You are dust,
right?
And to dust you will return.
But yeah, so Lent starts with from dust and to dust.
Right.
So.
Somehow the dust is important. Somehow this is.
Oh, the dust is so important.
Somehow this is important.
Yeah.
But we've completely moved towards a whole different understanding, and even in church, this is something that's happened in not just our church, but like Christianity to all over.
Right.
We've completely dropped resurrection in favor of the immortality of the soul, and that somehow the human condition, it's almost automatic. Somewhere within is this soul thing which cannot be destroyed, which is your true self. You've heard people say that.
Yeah.
And when the physical body dies, the soul goes to heaven. Mm-hmm. And that's it. Mm-hmm. There is no more story after that, because it doesn't seem like, well, what's the point of resurrection if your true immortal soul is in heaven? Why bother now with resurrection?
Well, then why is the resurrection of the body the thing? Like, if that's the...
That's right.
Yeah.
Why is that important? I think that's a question we're going to have to look at. Not today.
Right.
But this is where, if you start to say, I believe in the resurrection, and go beyond just trying to make a point or proof, make you say the magic words of a physical bodily resurrection.
We get past that part.
What does it mean?
What then?
What then?
Right.
If you believe in resurrection. What is resurrection really about? And how how do we reclaim resurrection as
Right.
the church? Is it a theology? I mean, it's kind of central.
Yeah.
Is it?
Well, it's one of
still a-
those things where it's like, if you're going to say it every Sunday, because I feel like most churches do
say the Apostles'
the
Creed.
Apostles' Creed every Sunday, and so there is that, I believe in the resurrection of the body
and
and the life everlasting.
A lot of folks say that.
Right. But at that point, when you say it, is that just, oh, that's the end, and we're just mumbling through it at that point?
Sometimes, maybe it's like what we spoke before, that it's just part of. This is what we always say.
Well, it's the ritual. It's what we do.
It's a ritual, and I say this, but I never stop to think about the words that I am standing before God saying. That I believe.
Right.
This is what I believe,
mm-hmm.
which is the value of the creed. It kind of begins to outline and
right.
keeps putting in front of you, what is it that you believe?
Well, so when somebody asks you about resurrection,
mm-hmm.
what do you tell them? And I'm sure that's what we'll get into in the next couple of years.
And that's what it's going to take a long time to unravel. There is no one simple answer.
Right.
There is no one
But
simple
people
answer.
want the simple answer.
I know they do. Too bad.
Well, they're not going to get it here.
Too bad.
Yeah.
Theology doesn't have to be simple.
Well, and
theology
it's not...
can be complex.
Right. You're not trying to just shove it into a box.
Well, and it's also not just saying, it requires thought.
Right.
Theology as a discipline
mm-hmm.
is a discipline. It's
right.
not just, again, I can't always fit theology in a bumper sticker or
right.
quick
a little tagline.
One tagline sentence.
Right. It's not a thing.
It's conceptual, and if you begin to conceive this and think about this, then that shifts. It should shift your reality, or again, at least your vision
right.
of things, and that's what it's all. That's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about.
So resurrection, that we celebrate every year.
Mm-hmm.
He is risen. He is risen
He's
indeed.
Risen indeed.
What does that mean? And I think that's what we're going to explore. We're going to use our incredible production values and and we're real sophisticated, which means we'll probably stand at a whiteboard and scribble things on a whiteboard.
Maybe we'll get new markers so they're fresh.
Maybe we'll get a new marker.
Fresh markers.
That's the height of our production value here.
We'll clean the board off too.
We've got a huge budget and a lot of computer programs for great graphics that can swing up and such. I mean, it's not like we're just filming this on the iPhone that I happen to carry. No. It's
more than that. It's not more than that. All right, so we are going to continue to explore resurrection for a bit.
It's the Easter season.
I think it's a great idea.
And it's going to take us in places that maybe we don't want to go, and it's going to shake us up. It's that kind of theology. It moves us, and has different depths and points, and depends on when you enter it and start to talk about it. So
seatbelts on.
So seatbelts on. The first thing we'll probably talk about then is, again, resurrection versus immortality of the soul.
Mm-hmm.
What does happen after you die? Because there's two different answers to that. And it's changed over time. Have we moved away from the original classic Christian answer and embraced something else?
I hope so.
So we have a conflict.
Ooh. Conflicts are good. In some places, conflicts are good.
So, happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Hope you had a good day yesterday. And we're going to see what happens. Maybe we'll become viral.
Is this going to be the one? We're going to push so many buttons on these next couple videos.
Just be ready. We're going to push buttons.
People are going to have to share. Did you see what these people said?
What are they? What is your authority? Who are you to tell me this stuff? Well, I'll tell you who we are. We're Meg
and Thom.
And this is Mondays with Meg and Thom. And we'll see you next time.
See you next time.